Can Business Insider go F itself? Well, I'm not one for clickbait, so I'll save you the trouble. Yes. Yes, it can. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend. A quick reminder that this is going out on Friday. It's the long, full version. Or maybe this is the weekend on the main channel, and it's the condensed version. It's whichever version you see on the screen. Yeah, head on over to the second channel if you haven't. If you're catching this on My Tesla Weekend, head over to My Tesla Live. Maybe subscribe over there. It would be super cool if you could. Let's get into it. Don't know if you heard, a SpaceX flight attendant said Elon exposed himself and propositioned her. The company paid $250,000 for her silence. It's a big deal. Things like this happen to all kinds of people. Mostly people who live in a bubble and think behavior like this is okay. There could be another side to this story because, it is reasonable to assume that there is an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement that was signed by both parties, which would prohibit Elon or SpaceX from speaking directly to the matter, and it would prohibit the woman who received the money from getting it as well. That's why Business Insider did not interview any of the subjects of the settlement, but rather a friend of the settlement, a friend of the person with whom the settlement was given. Because, 6-year-old secondhand accounts are apparently valid. Now, if this was not Business Insider, I would give it more credence. But Business Insider is, as you can see at the top screen there, hot trash. Hot trash. So let's go into some of their ridiculous lies and dishonesty. Now, lie is a strong word. They don't lie. They grossly, intentionally mislead. I'm not calling Business Insider liars, but I am calling them hot trash. And I'm sick of it. Elon Musk is speaking out against government subsidies. Here's a list of the billions of dollars his businesses have received. It's that old chestnut. It's that old misleading thing. Elon Musk companies have received billions in government subsidies over the last 2 decades. Now that is a lie. They're lumping in a lot of things under the broad umbrella of subsidy that are not. Elon Musk has opposed higher taxes for the rich and said the government shouldn't control capital. He opposes government subsidies. One of his companies accepted them as recently as April. Well, yes, you can oppose something and still benefit from it. Warren Buffett wants higher taxes on billionaires, but he pays tax. I mean, come on, guys. So let's look at some of the absolute stupidity. SpaceX lands a $2.89 billion contract with NASA in April. Well, SpaceX is a launch provider. Every launch that's done by SpaceX is effectively a subsidy for the government because they're cheaper. A seat on the Dragon capsule to the ISS is $50 million. If you go with Russia, it's $80 million. If you go with United Launch Alliance, it's $90 million. It's almost double the price. They're saving money. And yeah, SpaceX keeps getting more awards because ULA still isn't crew rated. They're doing good work. They're not doing it fast enough. And they're just good at it. The Falcon 9 is, at present, the most reliable launch vehicle in operation. So what else we got? SpaceX signs a $653 million contract with the Air Force. Again, this isn't free money. This is being hired to do a job. If the city goes out for bid on someone to clean up around the park, and the next highest bidder is $50 an hour, and I'm charging $30 an hour, am I getting government subsidies? Or am I just doing the job they need done anyway for less money? Would you call me a welfare mooch for cleaning up the park for $30 an hour? Maybe. Maybe. If you're a Business Insider, you clearly would. Tesla accepts certain payroll benefits from the federal government's $600 billion pandemic stimulus. Well, again, $600 billion. You keep saying that number as if Tesla is the one actually receiving $600 billion. They're not. Do you know who's receiving it? All employers with less than 500 employees and all employers with more than 500 employees. That's everyone. Everyone got this, but you're singling out Tesla. You're calling it a subsidy as if it's not just part of doing business. New York State put $750 million toward a solar city plant in Buffalo in 2016. Well, actually, the deal was arranged well in advance of 2016. And at the time, Elon was just a shareholder. He certainly wasn't a principal. He may have been on the board. But what is that? Tesla didn't even acquire Solar City until 2016. So do you think that they acquired Solar City and 5 seconds later got $750 million? This was part of a state incentive offered to many, many companies to bring in jobs to areas that needed them. And there were strings attached. There's always strings attached. And if you don't satisfy the requirements, you don't get the money. Solar City receives $500 million in grants in addition to tax credits by 2015. So before Tesla even owned it, when Elon was just a shareholder. I mean, come on. As of 2015, Tesla had sold $500 million in environmental credits to competitors per a federal mandate. Well, that number is much higher now. It's in the billions. But that's not a subsidy. If Fiat Chrysler gives you money because they don't want to build an efficient car, that's not a federal subsidy. And other countries do this as well. How dishonest is that? That's not a subsidy. That is the lie, Business Insider. Nevada provides $1.3 billion in tax breaks and other incentives for new Tesla Gigafactory. Did I pull that one up? Yeah. It was a deal. $1.3 billion. That's a lot of money, right? Sure. I mean, it's over 20 years, so it's about $60 million a year, and we're only about 7 years into it. But in exchange for that, they have to bring a lot of jobs, thousands of jobs, with a minimum pay of $22 an hour. And by the way, they're paying an average of $34.97 an hour. That's 70 grand. 70 grand to live in Sparks. That's a good job, my friend. That means that this deal worked. Nevada got what they wanted. And no one forced them to do it. Is there anything else on this hot trash? Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, SpaceX received $15 million from the state of Texas. Well, yes, but they're spending billions of dollars. They've made that money back. Department of Energy loans Tesla $500 million in 2010. Now this one really chaps my butt because it is plain old dishonest. Did I lose it? Here we are. Tesla repays federal loan nearly 10 years early. $465 million loan from the government nearly a decade before it was scheduled to do so. So that wasn't a subsidy. That was a loan with interest. And they repaid that loan in full, early, with interest, and we now know a prepayment penalty. Other car makers went broke during this time, and there was a prepayment penalty, and they still paid it back. So whether we're talking SpaceX, where the government comes out ahead, local factories, where the local governments come out ahead, or the Department of Energy loan, where the federal government came out ahead, they're not taking money from the people. They're making things cheaper for the people. This is just dishonesty. Come on. Tesla quietly revealed it got a government coronavirus bailout after Elon Musk opposed another stimulus package. Right, because the two things aren't related. And you're trying to tell people that they're somehow related. These certain payroll benefits from government responses. Right. Further bailout efforts may not have been needed. It appears they weren't needed. The economy is going gangbusters without them. Over the years, Tesla and other companies have benefited from billions of dollars. It's just dishonest, is what it is. Why would you say that? Why are these two things conflated for no reason? They absolutely should not be. Billionaire Elon Musk can't deny that his companies are getting a ton of help from the government. Is Elon Musk just a billionaire welfare king who has benefited hugely from government grants, discounted loans, tax breaks, government incentives, and the sale of environmental credits? What the hell is this? So first of all, this isn't journalism. This is content. You're not a writer, you're a content farmer. You're putting these things in. This is keyword stuffing right here. You want people to find this article by calling him a welfare king. Government grants, those are available to everyone. Discounted loans, prepayment penalty says otherwise. Tax breaks, well, again, available to everyone. Government incentives and the sale of environmental credits, guys, this is dishonest intentionally. You are misleading people on purpose, and you have, in my view, wholly sacrificed any credibility you had. Moreover, anyone who buys a Tesla is eligible for a $7,500 income tax credit, while residents in California can get an extra $2,500. So this article is, of course, out of date. Tesla does not receive the $7,500 credit. They're only one of two companies that don't, the other being General Motors. If you buy a Ford, and by the way, Tesla never got those. You did. The buyer did. And only two companies don't get them. And since that $7,500 expired, the price of a Tesla has gone up substantially. So that wasn't the reason people were buying them necessarily. It certainly helped early adopters. It helped get the company moving as intended. And other companies are still getting that. And the $2,500 from California, I mean, let's get into that. It looks like the state of California is bailing out Tesla. California famously leads the nation in clean air controls. They kind of have to, because Los Angeles has mountains up against it and prevailing winds from the west that push pollution up against them, and they just kind of stop there. If you'd gone to California in the 80s or 90s, when you fly in the daytime, there's a heavy brown haze. When you fly in at night, there's a thick brown blanket. It was gross. So they aggressively work to clean up their air. All of these subsidies are designed to clean up their air, and they're available to everyone. Absolutely anyone who makes an EV can get a discount on the price, a rebate at the point of sale. Oh, let's take a look, except that $2,000 is not available to Tesla. Tesla doesn't even get that money. Their cars are too expensive. You have to be below a certain price, and Teslas ain't. Let's go to the bottom here. Why don't I see my vehicle? How do I apply for a rebate for 3 or Y? You don't. That's the thing, you don't. Has Business Insider gone ahead and made a big deal out of this? If they have, I haven't seen it. And I've been digging through here, through their site, quite a bit today. But they got a paywall, and I am not giving them a penny. I have found ways to circumvent it. Elon Musk's dad, Errol, fathered child with his 30-year-old stepdaughter. Now, why is this relevant? Why are we talking about an old man doing a thing? Because of who he is, because of who his son is. Now, we're about to get into the whole emerald mine thing because it's laughably stupid and wholly dishonest, but we'll get to that. Right here, we've got this story from Business Insider where they just talk about it. You know, he admits it. He says he was a bad guy. Oh, and also, who also owned an emerald mine in Zambia. After the divorce, Elon lived with his father where he attended Pretoria Boys High. So we're talking about this like it's just throwing it out there as a fact. There's no validation to it. We don't know the name of it or where it was or anything about it. There are no contemporaneous reports, though Elon did seem to mention it in a Forbes article at one point. So it is reasonable to believe that it did exist, but the details are very muddy. Elon Musk's dad tells about the family's casual attitude to wealth. So Elon Musk is a braggart. He's famously a braggart. A teenage Musk once walked the streets of New York with emeralds in his pocket. Him and his brother wandered into Tiffany and Company on Fifth Avenue and sold them. What are you talking about? That is not a thing. Tiffany doesn't... You think Tiffany buys emeralds from teenagers who wander in off the street? At best, those are stolen, but more likely they're fake. I mean... Oh, God. And then they sold them for $800 and came back and saw it was $24,000. Oh, please. This is... I get that you're just reporting what Elon Musk told you. But it's incumbent on you as a journalist, if that's what you are, to actually dig a little bit. To actually dig. They once owned a mine. Here's the fascinating story of how they came to own it. It's just dumb. And this all comes down to just what Errol said. Just what he said. They didn't follow up. They didn't follow up. They didn't ask the questions necessary to determine the validity of the story because they didn't want to. So this is Jeremy Arnold last year. I talked to Elon about journalism and the Blood Emeralds story. Few key takeaways. Elon Musk owns or owned an emerald mine. It was connected to apartheid. The profits were material to the family's wealth, and Elon then leveraged it to launch his career. Well, what this article goes on to explain is how all of this is ridiculous. Zambia was not an apartheid country. Now you say, well, it's apartheid era. Oh, okay, well, that means that the movie Twins starring Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger was an apartheid era film. I mean, anything that happened during that time was apartheid era, technically, if you want to somehow stretch it to that extent. I will link this in the description. I'll link all of these in the description after the show concludes, but this is just ridiculous. Business Insider does not confirm any of this because they didn't dig into it. And why would they? Why would they? It's too juicy. I'm trying to get through this so we have time for the Q&A. But here's where the credibility just goes out the window. Meet May Musk, supermodel mother of the richest man in the world. Did you know words have meaning? Supermodel. What does that mean? An extremely prominent and successful model who can command very high fees. May Musk was a model. She was not a supermodel. And I know because when you go to the Googles and look up May Musk model, you find very few pictures of her from when she was modeling. Well, that's because her son is so big in the news. Great, let's do the search again and just go young. Okay, a dozen pictures before we run out? This is not a supermodel. She was not a household name. She could not command global appearance fees. That's not what that means. You have to actually determine what a word means and use that meaning. And Business Insider knows that if they'd have been honest with their headline, no one would have clicked. So I bring this up because, did you know, a couple of years ago, I was interviewed for an article in the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, it's true. When Tesla stock tumbled to a 3-year low of $178 a share last June, Brian pounced. So I did this interview. It was a lot of fun. I talked with, I think it was Julia, who I actually talked with. And I spent probably a half hour with her on the phone. And then she called me back the next day and said, okay, time for the fact check. You made some claims and we need to validate them. You said it was in your 401k. That doesn't track. I said, oh, no, right. It's my IRA. She goes, I need to see it. Go ahead and block out the account information, but your name on a piece of paper with your face, or I can't run this story. Because if you're lying about that, who knows what else you're lying about? I also mentioned that I have a tattoo. She said, I need to see it. I won't publish it, but send me a picture. So I had to send a picture. Because you can make juicy stories out of anything if you just take everyone at their word for no reason. It took them an extra 20 minutes to fact check my story. Maybe a half hour. But it made the story better. And I'm not even a fan of Wall Street Journal. You know, if you just want people who will say crazy things and not validate them, you can run stories like this. Hillary Clinton adopts alien baby. Official photo. Now, you can't just say official photo and then Photoshop it yourself. But if the person who sent it to you Photoshopped it and said it's an official photo, you're just taking them at their word. Now, of course, in the case of this story, it is true. We know that now. But come on, Business Insider. Do better. So a quick thanks to my Patreons who get early access, bonus content, all that good stuff. And a look at my 11-year production prediction tracker, which I am always dialing in. So let's get into the Q&A, shall we? And by the way, yeah, let's get into the Q&A. We've only got a few minutes left, so let's do that. What should I leave up as the... I'll just leave this up. Let's take a look at the comments. How are you guys? How is everybody? Happy Friday to you. I can say that now because the weekend crew's gone. Okay. Hello to everyone I said hello to in the chat before, plus the rest of you. Hello. Hello, everyone. Loving the summer vibes online. Everything sounds good. David said, is it proven that they paid that, or did they say they paid it? I don't know. It is possible that Business Insider saw some documents on background that they were not allowed to reveal. But yes. And Hockey Day says, hearsay. Yeah. Yes. But as long as they admit, oh, we don't know this for sure, we just think this is just what we were told, legally, they're fine. And the problem is these lies are very juicy. You see it on social media all the time. Oh, he's only rich because of blood diamonds or emeralds, or it's like, guys, the advantage to having wealthy parents is that sometimes you get to use their money and sometimes you get to use their contacts. Elon Musk did not have contacts of any use in the US. That did not help. Well, he used his dad's emerald money to start PayPal. No, he didn't. That's not a thing. But the juicy, sexy lies are way better than the nuanced reality. Digital Blade Canada says reusable rockets is the only game in town / world. And did you know there are a handful, like a half dozen Chinese companies working to develop reusable rockets? Oh, the Starlink, the Starliner from Boeing / United Launch Alliance successfully docked with the space station. So they are one step closer to crew rated, which is wonderful. And also Starliner can perform boosts to keep the space station in its intended orbit, which SpaceX was not configured to do. Before United Launch Alliance lowered its prices, SpaceX was a quarter of the price. After listening to this, I think I will be continuing to never read Business Insider. Yeah, Charlie, it's tough to boycott something you already boycott. But that is called a hit piece. Agreed, not journalism. I had to waste an hour yesterday explaining to a friend why it's not a reputable source. She argued, I'm a librarian. I know it's accurate. Librarians are usually pretty good at that sort of thing. Obviously not a universal statement. Yeah, let's focus on the future and ignore the noise. I agree, Wendelin. The Onion started the Emerald Mine story. No, it was Business Insider. It was an interview with Elon's dad. And there appears to be some validity to the existence of an emerald mine somewhere at some point. But the guy was not as rich as he would pretend. I've seen claim, he owned the biggest house in Pretoria. Did he? Because I've never seen a picture of it. I'd like to verify that. If someone tells you that, that's an easy one to validate. No effort was made. And journalists have spent years trying to get to the bottom of the emerald mine thing unsuccessfully. The new Tesla Lagag team? I don't know what that is. Do I have more than a few minutes? Feel like hanging out a little bit longer on this brutal day? I might go over a couple. Look, Ma, I'm on YouTube. Yes, who is this? Yes, you are. Long weekend here in Canada. May 24th weekend. Is next week Memorial Weekend? Or in the U.S., I think next weekend we have a 3-day. I tend to remember Memorial Weekend because it's kind of my birthday. I'm turning old. I think Tesla would be better starting up a PR team rather than litigation. I've made my position known on a PR team. I believe they could benefit from one. But I heard that Elon said that any scandal involving him should be called Elongate. It's not cool when Elongate is the name of your sexual harassment one, but yeah. Daniel Carlson wishes he had not a flamethrower to take to their website. Ooh. Mark wants to know, when will I start a tracker on the south extension at Austin? Oh, that's steel. As soon as footing work begins. I actually started a tracker on it 6 months ago, back when they first got the permit or submitted site plans for it. So once they break ground, if you guys haven't seen, I'm already doing the cathode building tracker. It's 15% done. Oh, Elon just announced Tesla's new legal team. Well, that is expensive. Happy birthday to you on the 30th. Who is this? Thank you, Digital Blade Canada, for the birthday wishes. Why would Elon do something so stupid back in 2016 if he has so many missions to complete? People do stupid things. Even people we like do stupid things. It's not impossible. And I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm saying we don't know all the details and that there is potentially nuance to it. I mean, it's very easy for a lot of men to misread cues, and doubly so if you're on the spectrum. David Huber says, I think it's time to become a Patreon. Yay! Aren't you already a Patreon? Well, either way. And, you know, you guys don't have to. I just appreciate you being here, giving me them thumbs, subscribing, hanging out. 7:31. I don't mean to go over on you, Mark. I know you like me to stay on my time, but you're welcome to tune out. We're just kind of hanging out now. What about the environmentalists, in quotes, trying to stop the cathode factory at Giga Texas? I haven't heard about this. They would not be successful. There are protocols in place to build a facility that operates in that manner. They will follow them, and they will be allowed to build it and operate it. Legal team equals no stock buyback. I don't think the legal team is going to cost $5 to $10 billion. I just don't think there will be a buyback because there are too many good uses for that capital in the coming years. Things like the robotaxi network will be quite expensive to deploy. Maybe the bots will be expensive to deploy too. They want to keep all those things in-house as much as possible. David Huber rightly points out he's never done anything stupid, especially when he was young. Right. Me either. I have no skeletons in my closet, he says, like a liar. Yeah, I was lying there. Yeah. Women hit on Elon all the time. You got to think about that. You got money, you get hit on. Yeah. And again, it's easy to misinterpret signals, especially from hospitality staff. She waited 2 years to file her lawsuit. That's weird. Is it? Maybe. And the story I didn't cover from Business Insider is the one about the racist allegations at the Tesla Fremont factory. Their big thing on that was, well, after the settlement was announced, dozens and dozens of complaints surfaced. Oh, really? After a $200 million jury award, people came forward and said, hey, I want me some of that too? Come on. Yeah. All right. Well, we're barely over time, and I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here. What did I miss or misunderstand? Leave it in them comments below. Replay team on this channel, I'll have all the links for you. You can leave comments. I will read them. So stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the flippity flop.